let's see what we can do today. I rebuilt the base a tiny little bit. Wait a minute. Can I make it some gasoline? Fuel some gasoline in there. Fuel some gasoline in here. Alright. So. Want to see. There's the door. Okay, got it. Now I need to go into the radiation zone yet again. Yay, good fun. Well, there's an atomic puppets quest and shit going on still, and the spawn has been fixed. The admins fixed the spawn. Ooh, fuck, I'm almost... it's almost time. Shit. So they fixed the spawn, which also means we find random roaming puppets again, and that can be very deadly, finding random spawning puppets now. Whoa! Some beepers have spawned outside, what the hell? I need to go up there, yeah. And then over there. And then across. You can buy an alternator, you just have to have the points and you need to have the money. It already made a split and there was a straight road, but on the map it shows left and right, or left and right turn. But physically the road is a straight and a right turn. So the game shows one path, and in reality it's something else. It's another path. I get a kick out of that. I like these weird, completely wrong paths. Oh. Oh. I gotta... Shit, I gotta hide somewhere or something. I have to hide here and be right back. I have to hide really quick. I gotta do something. I'll be back in a short moment. In a wee moment. For fuck's sake. What is this shit? Man. So, is this better? Could go. Blowing on top of me. Yeah, this is gonna be fun. This is gonna be fun. Oh, I opened the window completely, dude. Whoa. I need some air. Wow. Open the window completely. Fuck's sake. Let's go. This. That's better. Okay, the fan is behind me. It's blown right on top of me, pretty much. So I put it on the put the fan up so it's pretty much behind me. So it's on the bed. It's behind me on the bed and it blows right on top of me like this. It's a little bit higher up and it blows right on top of me. This is good. It's the best I can do without, making the fan blow. Right, there's the bike. Okay. Well, good thing I got a bunch of uranium. I don't have to go into the NPP for a while. Cheated a little bit. Went into the NPP when there was no enemies. Cheated a little bit. Oi! It doesn't matter where I go. Straight or left. Doesn't matter. Straight or right doesn't matter. This works. Excuse me. Why is there a box around Steam's frame counter? Why is there a box now? Steam settings interface. No, in-game. In-game, there it is. There you go. Fucking hell, these idiots. First of all, they made the contrast, so they made it green. So they made the frame counter green. They made it green, and now they made a... and now they have the frame counter as a thingy. Oh, there it goes. It went away there. Gotcha. Okay. So first of all they made it green, they made the overlay green, and then they gave it a box in the background as well. And nobody asked for it, like it was a default setting. Instead of leaving it the way it was, she has to be 70 by now. I was like 17 or 18 or what when I met that woman. Or 18? Yeah, maybe 18. go right. Aldo Iorio. I have to look that up real quick. Hold on, I just remembered something. Where is he? To look at something. Hold on. LinkedIn. No, he doesn't have. I think that was him. Let's see. There. The thing is that some people, and that's the interesting thing, that some people keep really far away from any form of social media and any form of like LinkedIn and everything. You know what I mean? So there's some people that really keep far away from all of that. And I'm not saying that I'm a stalker or anything. No, I'm not like that. I don't know how to say it properly, but yeah, I'm not like I'm interested in looking at people I knew or know, see if they have like a social media and see if they exist. And not everybody does that. Like, actually, very few people do that. Like, the majority of people actually just don't. Like, the absolute majority of people don't. They don't have a social media, they don't make one. You know, they just don't exist, so to say. They like vanish. Know what I'm trying to say? They just don't exist anymore. They exist, but they go away. They stop existing. Okay, the game seems starting anyways. Okay, I'm gonna log out here. The game's going to restart. And I'm gonna check something because I fucking... Oh, man. Oh, I'm melting here. It's 30 degrees inside the home. I'm melting. Oh my god. Oh. How am I going to survive this, man? I can't survive this. I'm fucking melting, dude. 30 fucking degrees inside. Right, there you go. That's better. So I just remember he was like one of those. That dude that I just looked up, that name that I just looked up, that guy was like one of the people my granddad scammed. So my granddad was like a real bastard, you could say. And he kept like tabs on people. So he had like folders upon folders where he wrote down when somebody gave him money or somebody took something from him. For example, if you broke something, he wrote it down. And then he went to your parents and said, hey, your kid broke this, you have to pay for it. So he would meticulously keep track of everything like that. Like everything that was broken and so on. He kept track of everything that happened, my granddad. And he kept tabs on what somebody owed him and what he had to give somebody and what he gave somebody and what somebody else gave him. So, you know, an eye for an eye, one hand washed the other hand, and so on. And what the problem was with that, he kept tabs on that, and then he seemed super accurate, but in reality, when he owned a gas station and you could almost say almost a chain of gas stations. He owned large property, you could say. He owned a lot. He was almost filthy rich, you could say. And what happened was he saved a ton of money on something that was crucial for the operation. In particular, what I'm saying is he saved basically every bit of money on the installation of proper shielding for the fuel tanks, the fuel and oil tanks and diesel tanks. He saved all the money. He saved all the money on their insulation and their upkeep and everything, and he saved all the money, so to say. He saved all the money. And what happened is, when the tanks started rotting, and he claimed that he didn't know, but he knew, and he sold the property but kept a tiny bit of the property for himself, and he kept that in a contract. He sold the property, but a tiny fraction of the property where the sales department and everything was, where the building was that he built, the building that he built by contract, that still is our family property. The rest was all sold to Shell. Everything was sold to Shell, Germany. Everything was sold to Shell, but not that tiny, tiny little speck of property where the sales building, like the office, the sales building, you know what I mean. The building like the 7-Eleven, where you go in and you buy a drink, or you go in and buy some cigarettes. You know, the store. The store is still our property. And it's still being rented off. It's still not part of Shell's property. And the way the contract's made, it's lifetime rented, so to say. So it cannot be part of Shell's property. It's excluded from Shell's property. So even if Shell wants to buy it, even if Shell one day wants to buy it, they won't be able to, because it's not, you know, it's not made for them. It's not made in the contract to benefit them. They cannot buy it. They're not allowed to, so to say. It's forever family property. And what happened is he hadn't sealed, or they hadn't insulated and sealed the tanks at all, the underground tanks, and they started leaking, and he knew they were leaking, but he kept it going. he noticed that the fuel levels are dropping and there's no fuel being consumed and being, you know, the fuel levels don't match up. The consumption and the expenses, like the fuel that's given away. In other words, people are fueling their cars and there's fuel going away, but there is also some fuel leaking away, and that's excessive. It's more than what it should be. It's like more than evaporation or anything. It's like more than evaporation or any other like natural effect. You can't explain the missing fuel with evaporation or, you know, some other mechanic that could have occurred. So Granddad notices that there is gasoline and diesel obviously leaking away, or diesel mostly, it was diesel leaking out of the steel tanks, and he lets it be. Then he sells the property to Shell, and Shell modernizes and tries to modernize, and the first thing they have is they call one specialist, and then the next day there's 12 specialists, and the next day there's like 30 specialists and a excavator, and they start digging out the tanks, and they notice they have leaked. They need to be drained. They're being drained because they're leaking. They're inspected from the inside and they're completely like rotten. And the entire soil is contaminated. And my granddad, when he sold the property with the tanks, he sold the property with the tanks, claiming, yeah, it's all good. He was literally claiming, and he was stating that everything is in pristine conditions and there is no contaminations and there is no leakages and no contamination. So he lied, basically. He had a attorney or a lawyer sign it, like a notary. How do you call it in English? Notar, English. Yeah, notary. It's called a notary. Yeah, he had a commissioner or a notary. He had a notary sign it and verify it. And that notary was one of the people they like, you know, oh, let's have a beer together, you know, let's have a wine. Or rather, they go to a wine, they go to a nice dinner. He buys some concert tickets for a concert, you know. It was one of those situations. And Granddad does that. He quite literally says, yeah, everything's fine. And his notary signs it and says, yeah, everything's fine. And nothing is fine. Everything is leaking, everything's contaminated. So Shell had to excavate deep into the soil. They had to excavate deep into the soil, and my granddad forbid everybody in the family to go there and ask any questions. He forbid anyone in the family and all the family members, like the direct family and all the not companions, all the kin of family, all the relatives, like everybody, all the relatives and the direct family members, relatives and family members were forbidden to ask any questions and go there. He said that. I don't know what his leverage was and what his what he could have used as leverage to punish somebody, but he was a very intimidating man because he always had some dirt that he could use against everybody. And they were digging out, I remember, they were digging out the soil. I only remember seeing a few, like, glimpses of it, but it was all kept secret by him. And then came a lawsuit. Shell has made a lawsuit yeah, it's not publicly available. It's not a public lawsuit. They filed a lawsuit against him and he lost. And he had to pay $500,000 or 1.5 million. I think he had to pay like 1.5 million. And he was missing a lot of money. So he came to my family and my parents, and he literally said to my dad, I allowed you to marry my daughter. I allowed you to marry my daughter even though I hated it, and I hate you, and I hate you, you bum. And my granddad on many occasions called my father a bum, a useless, lazy bum. Meanwhile, my father is working his ass off to provide for himself and his wife and then later his entire family. My father is working his ass off as a truck driver. And my dad works his ass off, and my granddad says that lazy bum could do something once in his life, and they had to take up a credit. They were being blackmailed in some capacity. I still don't understand how and what happened. Oh shit, that was NPCs. I'm running away. Now I know why there's no zombies. Fucking NPCs took them all. Anyway, so my granddad pretty much blackmailed my parents into giving up, so to say, surrendering. You know, give me the money, take up a loan at the bank, or else. And he didn't keep any notes of that. My granddad destroyed all the notes of receivings. He destroyed the contract that they signed. He made a contract that they signed to confirm, and he destroyed that contract. So he made a contract that they had to sign that they gave the money to him. Proof. A proof of transfer. And he destroyed the proof. So he destroyed the contract and the proof that everybody signed. My mom signed, my dad signed, everybody signed. The signed letter was kept by him. No copy for my parents, and my parents are retarded. It pains me to say it, but they are really not the smartest in that in any cases. Like, they don't know that you need to take a lawyer, you need to take an attorney or a lawyer if there's some bullshit happening, if you're being threatened or something. They just they don't every time I tell them you're being scammed, you're being harassed, you're being threatened, you need to take a lawyer immediately, you need to take a lawyer, and then my dad is always like, a lawyer, a lawyer. My dad is always like that. My parents are retarded. My dad always goes like, lawyer. He's always like making everything laughable. Like, he's always making everything as if it's irrelevant, as if it's not credible. Like, he knows best. So it's laughable to get a lawyer and it's too much getting a lawyer immediately. We're gonna solve it the other ways, and they never get anything solved. Like, Vodafone scammed them by making them pay exploding and bloated money for services that they didn't order, so they were scammed by Vodafone. That's proven. And instead of getting an attorney, they rather went to the Vodafone store. That's how stupid they are. They know my parents are retarded. Like, they go to a fucking store, a Vodafone store, not even telecom, just a Vodafone store, and that fucking foreign non-German bastard, that fucking Arab bastards, those Arab and Pakistani bastards there, scam them, of course. They're basically telling them, oh yeah, you need this, and they give them shit that they don't need. They give them shit that they don't need in their contract, and they scam them, and they paid 6,000 or they had to pay 6 or 4,000, I can't remember. They had to pay like multiple thousands because of excessive fees. And instead of going to the lawyer, they rather go to the Vodafone store and talk there. They rather talk. You know what I mean? Instead of getting a lawyer, they rather go to a store and try to solve it by talking to the people who scammed them, you know? They try to solve it themselves. It's fucking retarded. So, what the parents did, they didn't see anything serious, they didn't think about nothing, so my granddad told them, yeah, you can trust me, I'll keep this contract that you signed, I'll keep it for safekeeping. You're gonna lose it anyways, it's going to be lost if you keep it. If you take it, it's going to be lost. I'll take care of it. I'll keep it safe. And he immediately destroyed it. So whenever my parents brought up something for him, and they tried to use that as leverage, my granddad smiled and shrugged, and he had a habit of like blowing up his cheeks. Like he had a habit of like blowing air into his cheeks and then go like exhale through his mouth like that, like through his lips, push his lips together and exhale like that. Yeah, can't do anything about it. I don't see any contract. Like he had an attitude and a habit of being smug like that. Like, I don't know what you mean. I can't follow you. What do you mean, huh? I don't know what you mean. You're imagining things. So my granddad had a habit of doing exactly that, making not fun of it, but my granddad had a habit of, if it was important business, he immediately took care of it with all the force of the law, essentially. But when everything involved him, he made sure to leave no traces of said things. So if somebody came to him and said, "Hey, Werner, you took money from them and scammed them and blackmailed them," then he said, well, it's their word against mine. Their word against mine. And this guy, this attorney guy, or his notary guy, whatever he was, I can't remember what he was. Oh, wait a minute. He was a, how do you say that? Tax advisor. He was a tax consultant. He was a tax advisor consultant. Wolf. That's what his name was. Or he is. He's a tax consultant. But he knows people who know people who know people, so that guy organized literally everything. He could organize a notary who basically signs everything. If it was possible to sell somebody's organs, that guy would have organized somebody. Like that guy would have organized somebody who can like sell somebody else's organs. I'm not joking. If it was possible to just harvest somebody's body, somebody's organs, that guy would have been the one to find somebody who sets up a paper, signs it, and then it's possible to harvest somebody's organs. Like, if it was legal and if it was easily possible, if it was possible, not easily, but if it was possible somehow that a person is snatched off the streets, kidnapped, then tied up, and has his organs harvested, that guy, that tax advisor, would have been the one to know a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy, who instantly sets up a paper, has somebody sign it, like a judge or somebody sign it, and then that person is being slaughtered for the organs. That person is immediately slaughtered for the organs, and the organs are sold. Like, I'm not joking. That guy is, as we say in German, washed with all waters. Like, completely fireproof. Like, went through hell and back. That guy was absolutely overboard with connections. With connections and camaraderie with somebody. If there was if slave trading was legal, that guy would have been able to find some slaves for you. That's another way to say it, Another example. Like, he would have been the one to find a slave trader for you that you can buy and sell slaves to and from. It's crazy. He always knows somebody and has somebody. And that guy, most surely, that guy told my granddad to, like, get rid of all the traces, get rid of all the proof, and just act like nothing ever happened. You know? Like, act as nothing ever happened. That's what my granddad did. Me? I never gave anything. I don't remember nothing. Where's this proof that I gave you something? Where's this proof that I gave you money? That you gave me money. Where is this proof? You know? That kind of guy. My granddad and everybody, it was all that kind of situation. Where is the proof? I don't see no proof. Tell me, when did I sign this? Where did I sign this? Where's the contract? Did I really sign this? Do you have some proof that I signed this? Where is the proof? Where is the stuff? Where is the signing? Did I really sign this? I never did. Where's the proof? Where's the document? Was it noted? Was it confirmed by a notary? And that's why it was destroyed. That's why it was destroyed, because even if it's a contract, even if it's a signed contract, if it's not ratified by a notary, you can, indeed, and you can legally just destroy it. If there's two people making a contract and one person signs it and the other, they both sign it, and then one person destroys the only copy of the contract. Oh shit. Oh fuck, I'm stuck underneath it. This is great. So the contract never existed. You know what I mean? If there's no copy, then the contract never existed. And it's legal, you can do that. If one person says, here's a contract, sign it, and they both sign it, and then the contract is destroyed, then one guy can say, yeah, we had a contract, and the other guy can say, no, we didn't. We didn't have a contract. And it's word against word, there's no proof, and it's ignored. It's denied. You know what I mean? Because there's no proof. One guy says yes, one guy says no, it's word against word, and there's no proof, so it leads nowhere. You can investigate, and you can think about it and work it like over and over and over. You can think about it, work it out over and over and over and over, and it just doesn't get anywhere. You know? You can do it over, you can ponder it for the rest of your life, and you don't get anywhere. Because there's no proof. So he destroyed the contract, and my parents had paid him several hundred thousands. They paid off a loan for... I was almost 40, like the last few years is when, I think when it ran out. So for like 30 years, my parents paid off a loan for the bank. Almost lost their own house, lost all their credibility. My parents had to struggle. My parents had to struggle to get a loan for themselves when they needed to fix something, and they couldn't get a loan. Oh shit, what the hell was that? Like, my parents needed a loan too. My parents needed a loan too, and they couldn't get one because they had a huge loan on like a lot of my father's income. And they couldn't get rid of it because they had to pay it off. My granddad said, I never received any money, you never gave me money. So there was no way to extort him or do anything legally to get the money back from him, because he said, I never got money. And then whenever I questioned, how in the world did money spawn, like how in the hell did money spawn out of nowhere? How the hell did you get money out of nowhere? Like, how did you get this large sum of money to pay on top of your original lawsuit? How did you get that extra money? He couldn't answer it, and he didn't, and he never answered. So he lost in all points. My granddad lost the lawsuit against Shell in all points. It was fraud. It was fraud in 3 degrees, or 3 cases of fraud. I think the size of the property was wrong. I can't remember. Then the tanks that leaked, that he didn't say, and the fact that he said that everything had a certificate, something about a certificate as well. I think the tanks had a certificate, according to him, which they actually didn't. Like, they were leaking. They were leaking and basically unusable for the job. That's my granddad. He always he would always find somebody who sells him something that he could use. I'm not saying he was a messy or a collector. He wasn't a hoarder or anything, no. What I mean is that he needed fuel tanks. He needs tanks that can hold fuel. He would get some random tanks that can hold any liquid. You know? Like my granddad would, or my granddad is the person who goes around and says, I can get it. And he ends up being able to get it. And the problem is, even if the item is completely unusable for the job, he would still get it and use it. He was a cold, really cold bastard. My granddad was a really cold bastard. He was really, really cold. Like, for example, those tanks, they're made for holding, let's say, I'm just imagining right now. Let's say the tanks are made for holding water. Then he would use them as tanks for fuel. He would utilize them and reutilize them as tanks for fuel. Even though the manufacturer of those tanks, for example, states they cannot be used for that. You know, I'm just imagining. It's just an imaginary thing. So, for example, the fuel tanks that he installed might have been for something else. They might have been for liquid mercury, or you know what I'm trying to say. Therefore, then for everything but gasoline or diesel, or for example, the tanks are made for gasoline, but they cannot be used for diesel, and the other way around. Those tanks are used for oil, for diesel oil or heating oil, like light fuel oil, and must not be used by any other liquid, and he pours gasoline inside, or he puts them full of gasoline. You know, the specifications don't allow what he's doing with it, and he's still doing it. Like, for example, if there was something to be constructed at his home, he would utilize anything he could get. He would use anything he could get. He wouldn't use, like, you know, he wouldn't specifically use like steel. He makes a steel railing at home. He wouldn't use steel that is highly resistant or anything. He would use steel that's yo, what the fuck? He would use steel that's used for, I don't know, for some other construction. Like, he would use steel that's used for putting inside of a reinforcement for building, or he would use this. You know what I'm trying to say. He would use materials that aren't made or aren't meant to be. He would use materials that aren't made for whatever he's using it for. Know what I mean? He would use materials that aren't meant to be. So, or the tiles. He had his whole what's it called? He had his whole terrace. How do you say that in English? Is it called a terrace? Is it called a terrace as well in English? Terrace, English. Terrace, yes. He had his whole terrace made in cream-colored tiles. And after a year or 2 or 3, suddenly those tiles had chips chip off of it. Like circular or oval chips. Half the diameter or size, or half the thickness. Like a huge chunk, so to say. Like always the size of a thumb or the size of a thumbnail. Chipped out of it. Always like the size of a fingernail or the size of a thumb. Oval or round shaped. Things just chipped off of it. They just came off. Like, you could look at the tile and you saw a circular, like somebody, like a cut or something formed, like a circular cut, and if you touched that, it would lift off. Like, a circular like indentation would lift off, and you could grab it in your hands, and you had like a shell, like a shell-shaped, you know, like a mussel or shell-shaped like structure in your hands, like a chip that came out of it. And he bought a bunch of acids and tried on his tiles. He put them on his tiles to see what causes the issue. Because he said he assumed that it's sour rain or something causing it. And he got results in his own testing, but it wasn't reliable, and it wasn't the same. So the company denied it, saying that what he said, he found it outrageous, but the tiles aren't made for outdoor use anyways. They're used for indoor and for bathroom. Something like that. They are not meant for outdoor use. They're not supposed to be on a terrace. You know? They're not supposed to be put on a terrace. You're supposed to put them in your living room or in your bathroom. You know? They're waterproof, but they aren't like UV and solar proof. Like, they aren't supposed to be exposed to the elements. Like sunlight and shit. They're not supposed to be exposed to that. So my granddad was a little bit furious that the manufacturer stated that you're not supposed to do this anyways. Why are you doing this? It's your own fault. So he then refused to do anything about it, and he was also a little saver. Like, if he got some money or full money for those tiles back, he would have replaced all the tiles. He would have exposed my grandma and himself and everybody, the neighbors, to the noise and dirt from removing all the tiles. But since he never did that, or never gotten that wish, he never replaced the tiles. Or only very late. My grandma. And then the next thing that was very, very upsetting my granddad was for me a superhero. He had tons of steel and tools and machinery and stuff, but he never did anything super major himself. Like he could replace some pipe fittings. Some basically only some basic stuff. He could replace like a leaking faucet or something. He could replace that. Like but tile laying, for example, tile laying or bricklaying, or like covering up the walls with mortar and stuff, you know, he couldn't do that. Like putting up wallpaper, yes, but putting up like caulk or something on the wall, he couldn't do that. Like putting cement or something or mortar on the walls, he couldn't do that. And he refused to do stuff like that. He always got somebody to do the really dirty jobs. The really dirty jobs that destroy the hands. He let others do that. And I always thought he was a car mechanic. He learned car mechanic because he was interested in cars, and he had such a good garage, and he had a gas station. But he could change a tire. He could change he could change a wheel. He could also change the tire off the wheel. He could change the oil filter, but he had that do others. Others did that. Workers did that for him. I always thought he was a car mechanic, but he was a accountant. My granddad was an accountant. He was not handiworked. He wasn't somebody who was a learned and practicing handiworker, like worksman, craftsman. He was an accountant, an office worker. And he was a normal worker, not highly good or normal. He was a normal worker. He was a normal worker, and at some point he decided that he has enough of office working, and he founded his own company. And after that company ended, you know what would happen? After the company ended, he would actually still give his benefits for his company to members of the family. Like a discount when going to the grocery, like going to the discounter, like going to a large warehouse. For example, there is a place that you, as a normal person, you cannot go there. You're not allowed to go there. It's a large retailer. You cannot go there. Basically, there's everything to buy there in large packs. We're talking like, not like kitchen wipes, not 4-pack, not an 8-pack, not a 12-pack. We're talking like 100-pack of kitchen roll. I'm not joking here. They don't sell, in that place they don't sell soap, like one bottle of soap for $2. They sell a 24-pack for 100 or something. You know what I mean? They're selling large packs for stores. It's a retailer for stores. It's not meant for customers, it's meant for companies to buy stuff from. And he took the family there, and he gave that card that has the benefits. He gave that card, that customer card or company card, that registry, he gave that to others as well. Everybody who wanted to buy something, he gave that to.
Welcome, welcome.
Oh, that's a...
Feel free to browse around. Make sure to stop by again.
So what's happening is he gave everybody the customer or service card or whatever, and then allowed everybody to buy it.
Welcome, stranger.
The fuck is this job? It's the doctor who wants it. Oh my god, you retard. So practically...
Hello, what is your emergency?
Practically the company is disbanded. The company is disbanded, but he still gives... Oh my god, the same thing again. He still gives the benefit. He still gives the benefits to everybody. Now tell me that's not insane. Like, tell me that's normal. Tell me that's not insane that you disband your company, but it's still registered and you still have the customer. You still have your company customer card, so you can still get like discounts. And it was like... The company was dismantled in 1990, and he, in 2012, or yeah, about 2012, he gave me the card, or he sent me to a workshop. He sent me to the workshop for my car to buy parts, and he said, "Yeah, mention this company name, mention our name and our number, mention this number," and he gave me a number. "Mention this number, and they'll give it to you for free. Or they'll give it to you for a discount, 40%." And I went to the store and I wanted to buy something, and I gave him the customer card and the customer number, rather. And the guy looks at me and says, looks in his computer and says, "That company is registered, disbanded for like 30 years or 20 years.
No loitering. You either buy or get lost.
That company is dismantled since 20 years.
Have a nice day.
Ahoy there!
Thought that was I thought there was a book here now too. I saw a quest book here, but that must have been a troll.
That there is a good one. Good trade, isn't it?
So essentially he scammed everybody. And he tried to actively entice others to scam as well. Know what I mean? Like he went like, "Oh yeah, you note this. You go ahead and note this name. You go ahead and note this name, and they'll give it to you. They'll give it to you for free, the stuff. Don't worry about it. Hey, don't worry about it, okay? Don't worry about it." And yeah, he scammed people, and he wanted others to actively entice to scam too. Like, I'm going to the store and I want to buy the stuff, and I'm giving them the number and the customer card, and he's like looking at me, and he looks at the computer and says that, "My boy, that thing is dismantled for 20 years. That company doesn't exist anymore."
Stay safe.
And I'm like, shit. What did my granddad get me? What did he get me into? It was a bit insane. I need to go rest, dude. As much as I would like to do another quest. I need to chill, man. I'm so fucking winded from the weather. Fuck me, dude. I'm going to rest up a little bit. It's so fucked up, man. It is so hot. You literally cannot survive, man. It's so fucking hot in here. Man. Whoa. Oh shit, the vehicle. He was a bastard. Like, he thinks he owns a company 900 years ago. You know, it's dismantled already. The company doesn't exist anymore. And he thinks that people are going to be like, ah, you owned this company once. He was expecting, like, people to go like, ah. So you're the one, huh? I've been waiting for you. Here's your free. Like exactly like that. Here's your free material. Here's your free, or here's your discount. Thank you for giving us your service. He was delusional. He was really delusional. He was expecting that people see that's him. They see that his name is on there and they go like, oh. And then I told him, he was like, oh shit. He was like a tiny little bit disappointed, but the majority of him was like, oh well. The way he said it was like almost, it almost implied like a, oh well, was worth a try. Like it almost implied like a mindset like that, you know? Oh well, we tried. Like there was malice in there in that voice, or the way you said it, there was malice in it. Like you could see and feel that there's malice in there. So, I'm going to disconnect. Hold, is this even locked? There's a lock in there. Oh shit, everything's locked. Everything's locked. And I'm gonna lock out here. I'll be back.